My name is Cecile. Just the other day, my elementary school age daughter surprised me by asking Mom, "Can you teach me how to do makeup?" I'm 39. Girls these days seem so mature for their age now that I think about it. As a little girl, I was thrilled with inexpensive candies that came with pretty toy necklaces or lipsticks from capsule toy machines. It feels like just a moment ago I was changing her diapers, and now she's on her way to becoming a beautiful young lady. Oops, almost brought myself to tears. Today I'm going to talk about back when I was a bit more of a beauty myself. Please listen if you'd like. This was about 8 years ago. I had just finished a month-long stay at my parents' home in preparation for giving birth, and returned to the home where I lived with my husband Tommy. Baby in arms. I thought we were starting our happy life as a family of three, but it turned out to be a family of four. Yes, for some reason, my mother-in-law, Melinda, who was supposed to be at her own house, was there to greet me, I was told. I thought my son wouldn't manage on his own, so I moved in to help. Well, maybe a man alone would struggle with daily life not being there. I thought maybe that's just how it is and thanked Melinda for taking care of my husband. She seemed quite pleased, saying I'm honored to have been of help, and as I entered the house, everything was neat, and the air was clear. Perhaps it was good she lived with us. But then a problem arose. My overseas brand wedding ring, which I had to remove and store away because it no longer fit during pregnancy, was nowhere to be found. It was supposed to be in the bedroom drawer. Where's the ring? My overseas brand. Where did it go? I searched everywhere only to find something even stranger. My overseas brand bag was missing. The bag I had saved up for and bought with much effort before I was married? Wait a minute. Even the shoes from an overseas brand I splurged on as a birthday gift to myself were missing. Now the ring is one thing, but it's really strange for such large items to disappear. After all, I only use them on special occasions and hardly ever move them from their storage. Feeling something was off, I hurried back to the living room and asked Melinda, "Melinda, did you tidy up the bedroom closet? What's the rush?" "I haven't touched the bedroom," she replied. If Melinda didn't tidy up, then it must have been stolen. Right. So have you noticed anything missing? Was there anything unusual while I was away? I asked. However, both my husband and Melinda, avoiding eye contact, denied anything was amiss. Nothing happened. Right, Mom? Yes, it was all normal. I told the two who were speaking so strangely. My wedding ring, brand name bag, and shoes are missing. My bedroom was burglarized. Melinda, surprised, asked, "Are you sure you looked everywhere?" In my panic, I could only nod at Melinda while frantically calling the police on my mobile phone. "Hello, is this the police? I've been burglarized. The situation and address." "What are you calling the police for?" Melinda shouted at me, clearly upset by the police's questions. Caught off guard by her scolding, I froze, staring blankly. The woman on the phone kept asking what's going on. "Oh, sorry. You needed the situation and address, right?" While feeling Melinda's disgruntled gaze, I relayed the details to the police. In less than 10 minutes, two police officers arrived at our home. They wanted to see the room where the theft occurred. However, Melinda kept insisting it's a misunderstanding. Please leave. Even if it were a misunderstanding, things were indeed missing. Both supposed to be victims in the house. I went pale at the thought of strangers entering our home while Melinda was red-faced, angrily saying we don't need the police. Even my husband was trying to calm me down, saying it's just a ring or two. "It's fine, just a ring or two. That's our treasured ring we bought together. It's irreplaceable," I retorted while the police officer watched me intently. "All right, ma'am. Could you please show me the room? Your husband and mother-in-law can stay in the living room. We'll talk to them." With that, the older police officer asked the younger one to handle my husband and Melinda. While guiding me to the bedroom, Melinda was still furiously saying, "Don't just go looking around someone's house. After all, this house, though in my husband's name, is also my home." By that logic, Melinda could have been told the same thing about intruding in someone's house. Of course, Melinda didn't seem to realize that. Confused by their behavior, the older officer asked me, "Have you been living with your mother-in-law all this time?" "No. I went back to my parents' home for childbirth. I just returned today and found out Melinda had been living here while I was gone." "Did your husband ever discuss letting his mother stay here with you?" "No, I didn't agree to that. I see before you went to your parents were the missing items here. They were. I don't have proof of the ring and bag, but I have a photo of the shoes. I was thinking of selling them secondhand. See, the save date on the data is exactly a month ago, right? So it must have been lost after you went to your parents' house. The police officer said, narrowing his eyes as if piercing something together. Let's take a look at the route, he suggested. I led the officer to the bedroom and explained again where the missing items had been stored. While complying with the fingerprint collection, the officer asked, "What's that?" He pointed to a handkerchief on the shelf, unfamiliar to me. It wasn't mine or my husband's. I thought that shelf is where we keep our favorite photos and paintings, and my husband knows I always keep it tidy. I've never seen this handkerchief placed there. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't notice it until you mentioned it. It wasn't there before I went to my parents' house. Missing valuables yet unfamiliar items appearing. If this isn't creepy, what is? Feeling frightened, the officer asked, "May I check this a bit more?" I answered, "Please do. This has a camera hidden in it." What surprised, I watched as the officer unfolded the handkerchief on his palm, revealing a small camera tucked inside. For what? Espionage. Let's look around the room a bit more. The officer, calm amidst my confusion, checked other drawers different from where the missing items were stored. Ah, found it. He pulled out a cable from a drawer near my husband's side of the bed. The cable fit the small camera he had found earlier. The mother's behavior is a bit suspicious, but the husband seems fishy too, the officer said with a wry smile, and was unable to grasp the situation and asked, "What do you mean your husband might have installed this camera?" "We found a cable for playback." He explained for what purpose. "I'd like to check the video. Can I use that computer?" he asked, pointing to my husband's laptop. Confused yet hoping to uncover the truth, I agreed. "Sure, go ahead." The officer connected the camera to the laptop with practice ease. The laptop seemed to recognize the camera and the menu opened up. The officer selected some commands and chose a random file from a folder. To our shock, the video displayed our bedroom. I went with the officer to the living room, where my husband and Melinda were waiting. Melinda immediately complained. "Really? Now you're making a fuss and calling the police?" We had to undergo questioning. Felt like criminals. It's so upsetting. My husband, too, was in a foul mood. Making a big deal out of nothing? Enough. Whose fault is this? In anger, I slammed my hand on the living room table. I'm still recovering from giving birth, and they made me run around and panic like this. I was seething. How dare you act so brazenly after what you've done? I know everything now. Look at this. I took the laptop from the officer, opened the screen, and played the video we'd just seen. My husband and Melinda gasped as they saw themselves on screen rummaging through the bedroom shelves, taking my ring and bag and leaving. In the video, my husband was telling Melinda, "With the money from selling these, we can both have some fun." Melinda was laughing. Who would have thought she had such sellable items? "It's hard to prosecute family living together for theft," she said. "Mom, you're amazing. So knowledgeable, so shameless." Even when their misdeeds are pointed out, not only did they not feel guilty, but their conversations suggested they were proud of their cunning. I thought I was targeted because I happened to have brand name items, but who would have guessed the culprits were inside the house? My agitation and anger grew while my husband looked scared. Melinda still didn't think she did anything wrong. In fact, she kept denying it despite being clearly seen in the video. "Okay, since you insist, let's watch this," I said, playing a different video. "Oh, come on. About your wife. If that's the case, aren't you okay with your husband on the screen?" Melinda was intimately engaged with a much younger man, maybe in his 30s, on a bed. "It's okay. I only need you, Rocky. My husband is nothing to me. I'm so happy. But my wife has been cutting my allowance again. Again. What an incapable wife. Don't worry, I'll give you some money." Melinda then wrapped her arms around the young man's neck, embracing him. It was as if she was trying to absorb the youthfulness from the younger man. Though I hadn't seen it before, it looked like something straight out of a club scene. "Thank you, Melinda. I love you. You're so sweet." Seeing the video of Melinda's alluring voice and actions, even my husband couldn't help but look away. The young officer looked queasy, as if he was about to say, and the older officer quietly scolded him. "Hey, stop it. Don't show such nonsense, Melinda yelled, her face turning bright red. My husband, perhaps feeling it was none of his concern, seemed about to laugh at Melinda's losing her usual composure. Really, Tommy, you think it's funny? Please watch this too. I played another video. I love Nancy the most than another. I've never loved anyone but Anna. Just kidding. How is it? Good? And another Ashley stroked my head. Hearing this, the young police officer burst into laughter beyond control, while the older one scolded him again in the video. Ashley was stroking my husband's head, asking how many others are you seeing? My husband responded like a script. Only you? Ashley. Liar. At this point in the video, there were already 3 women, and including those I just checked, at least 8. Really? I love you, Tommy. So about that. I know you mean the bag, right? Don't worry, I make good money. I'll get you a gift. Yay. This pattern repeated with the other women. Apparently my husband had been leading a life where he gave women gifts in exchange for letting him secretly film their encounters. What a hobby. You might have noticed he's making a huge loss buying brand name items for each video, and the only video showing Melinda's actions was that one. It seems the recording button was accidentally left on, capturing the moment Melinda stole my things and her own actions. Rest assured, it's not some peculiar hobby to watch Melinda's actions. Or maybe not. Melinda and my husband, embarrassed and exposed even to the police, were pale and slumped in defeat. But it wasn't over yet. Just as I thought this, the intercom rang. They're here, I said. Melinda looked at me with a tired face. Ignoring her gaze, I went to the entrance and welcomed Bruce. Seeing Bruce, Melinda lost her words and screamed. Seems like you were cheating in your son's house, Cecile told me. No, it's not like that. What do you mean it's not? Cecile, could you play the video with pleasure? After casting a cold glance at the bewildered Melinda, Bruce burst into loud laughter as he watched her flirtatious video. An old woman like this seducing a young man for money? Aren't you ashamed? Oh, my stomach hurts from laughing. What? I thought Bruce would be shocked by the video, but his unexpected reaction surprised me. You're just a wallet to him, clearly after your money. Pathetic. Bruce laughed uproariously, clapping his hands. Melinda, embarrassed, blushed furiously, her previously defiant attitude gone. That was funny. Let's see my son's too. Let's see how much he's grown, Bruce said, laughing while focusing on a particular part of my husband in the video. After watching all the infidelity videos, Bruce commented with a straight face. Both mother and son letting young people take their money beyond disappointing. It's pitiful. Needless to say, Melinda and my husband would have preferred being laughed at. What we learned from my questioning was that Melinda accidentally found out about my husband's affairs. She kept it secret in exchange for using our house to meet her own lover. For Melinda, it was embarrassing to be seen with a much younger man and her lover lacking money, and having a wife couldn't easily find places to meet. For my husband, having the freedom to invite girls he met online without going out was cheaper and much more convenient. Thus, Melinda and my husband keeping each other's affairs secret turned this house into their paradise of indulgence. Becoming accomplices. Their arrangement worked by one leaving the house while the other one met their lover. Melinda never imagined the videos would be accidentally recorded. I'm sorry, Cecile. Bruce overturned the money. Do anything? Please forgive me. Me too, Cecile. I'll change. Do anything? Please forgive me. Melinda and my husband begged, bowing their heads. Bruce and I exchanged glances and laughed. You'll do anything, right? Indeed. Anything, they both answered. Of course, of course. To our question then, let's divorce. What? What? Our simultaneous declaration to divorce left my husband and Melinda in shock. You said you'd do anything, right? Let's get a divorce. No, wait. Anything but that, please. No way, Bruce, without hesitation, refusal, and his desperate pleas and deep apologies. The divorce was not retracted. My husband too was crying and deeply apologizing, but I did not withdraw the divorce either. Thus, only hours after returning from my parents' home post-childbirth, my divorce was decided upon under police supervision. Later I had my husband pay me the same amount as sold items as compensation in the divorce trial. Additionally, I demanded double the standard amount for alimony and compensation for infidelity. Why double? I slightly intimidated them by saying your mistresses seem to be married. I could inform their spouses this was mainly a bluff, as I didn't even know their names at the time. And it's like I noticed that they're married because of the ring in the video. The threat was effective immediately given the number of mistresses involved. My husband, terrified at the thought of being sued by each spouse, agreed to pay double the standard amount. Meanwhile, Bruce furiously obtained the lover's contact details from her crying Melinda and called him over. He informed the lover and his wife of the affair, leading to their divorce too. Both spouses demanded compensation from their cheating partners in the divorce trials. Though I promised not to inform the mistress's spouses, I never said I wouldn't demand compensation from the mistresses themselves. After extracting all the communication from my husband's smartphone, I contacted each woman to claim compensation for the affair, which they agreed to pay. Secretly, I was glad my husband had had so many mistresses. It turned out to be quite profitable, but as a single mother without a steady job, I knew I could never have too much money. Turning the harm I suffered into financial compensation didn't erase the damage done. So with a substantial sum of money, I divorced my husband. 8 years have passed since then. Eventually, my husband ended up paying compensation to his mistress's spouses too. Their husbands, noticing their wives suddenly had a lot of money, grew suspicious. This led to the discovery of the affairs, resulting in some divorces. My husband, now overwhelmed with debt from the numerous compensations, was offered help by a certain woman. A goddess descended, he must have thought. But alas, this woman turned out to be a bad one. He thought they were close to marriage, only to find out she was already engaged to another man. My husband had spent what little money he had on a ring and dates for her, only to end up with a big loss and a broken heart. He never learns. Of course, I can't muster any sympathy for him. Melinda, having proposed marriage to her affair partner after her divorce, was spectacularly rejected. Still, she didn't give up, repeatedly ambushing him on his commute until she was cautioned under a public nuisance ordinance, of course. Naturally, that was the end of her relationship with her lover, who, as Bruce said, had only seen her as a wallet from the start. Well, everyone should be able to see it. Melinda was the only one who hadn't realized she was being used. It's a laughable tale. As for Bruce, after separating from Melinda and becoming estranged from his son, I worried about him being alone. But it seems the compensation money from the divorce trial sparked an interest in bonsai. Now he's happily involved in a circle with people who share his hobby. That's a relief, though I didn't expect it. I looked him up and sure enough, Pete even set up an SNS account. I've discreetly followed you, father-in-law, and me honestly fed up with men marriage no more and still going strong as a single mother. I relied on my parents until my child was old enough for daycare. Then started job hunting, juggling child rearing. It took about a year, but I found a great company that's understanding of single mothers. There are others like me there. So although we sometimes work late, we're usually allowed to leave on time. I used to think single mothers had to work non-stop, but with proper allowances and just my daughter to care for, we live quite normally without extravagant luxuries. There's talk of a promotion when my child reaches middle school. I haven't decided yet, but I want to consider what will make my daughter happiest and my parents too. Despite everything, the joy comes from meals shared with my daughter and sometimes my parents. Oh, I did well to leave. That man serves him right. He never even got to be called dad by my adorable daughter. My marriage ended in a crazy way, but as a parent I still hope my daughter finds a good person and has a happy marriage. Until the day she brings home a wonderful man. I'll do my best as a mother. So off to work again today.